Welcome back, family, friends, and fans. If you want to see how I made this room box and these stands for your paper dolls, please continue watching. Okay guys, so I printed out the 2 pages. This is the 8.5 by 8.5 page, and I just wanted to mention, I don't know if it was clear, but on Canva, when you do resize, I suggest that you copy and resize because you want to be able to work with the original dimensions. And it does resize every single page, which sucked for us because we needed one page to be 8.5 by 11 and the other page to be 8.5 by 8.5. So it resizes everything, and it ended up resizing the people as well. So what I did was I kept the one page that was 11 by 8.5. And I sent that, I downloaded it as a PDF, which was this one. This was the 11 by 8.5. As you can see, it's horizontal. And I downloaded it and sent it to print. And this page with the original size. And then I decided to do the copy resize for this one on a separate tab. But I still had to change the sizes again of everything because when it resizes, it makes everything smaller. So it was weird. So that was that. Also, it depends on you guys. If you wanted to, I didn't show you how to do this on Canva, but like I said, I will be doing a tutorial for Canva. But if you guys want to, you can print out the people like this. And then you can print them out in reverse. So all you have to do is click flip and it'll flip them. It'll make them the opposite so that when you glue them you glue the backs, they'll have the reverse look of themselves from the back. But if you don't want that and you want it to be more realistic, then you can just print out one and color in the back yourself. So that's what we have so far with that. Now, before I even cut these, I want to set the stage. So we're working on my brand new cutting mat that I just talked about in a haul. And I'm trying to remember how much this cutting mat was. I'm going to be using this craft paper, this craft cardstock, which was also in my haul. I got this at Michael's, and so we're going to be using this for the people. It's pliable. I didn't want to make it too stiff, but it's got some hold to it, and it's gonna work really well with the paper because this paper is somewhat of a card as well. So we add these two, and it's gonna make for a nice firm doll. Okay, so that's what I'm going to use for that. You can use something heavier if you'd like. I then wanted to talk about some other options for those of you who don't want to go through the trouble of creating a wallpaper on Canva for your dollhouse. You can also paint one yourself. This is actually an old experiment that I saved because I liked how it came out. But you can create your own wallpaper, dabbing paint, or just painting it yourself, painting some cardstock or drawing paper, sketch pad paper, and putting it to dry, and then you can have your own custom-made wallpaper, or you can use scrapbook paper. Now I'm only showing you guys some strips because I didn't want to take out the full card paper, scrap paper. This one is more of a vintage vibe, which I love. But something that you have to take note of when you are doing when you're figuring out wallpaper for your doll's house, you really have to pay attention to the size of the doll. It doesn't look good if you're doing wallpaper with ginormous flowers on them. That doesn't look realistic. No one puts ginormous flowers on their wall, or majority of people don't. So it's gonna throw off the scale of the doll. So you want to make sure that you have a doll handy. That's the reason why we created these dolls, so that we can see how the wallpaper looks. You want to measure it and see, are the designs too big? Does it look unrealistic? Like, is he standing near a wall mural outside, or is he in his apartment? So you want to make sure that I think that these patterns are okay. I would have liked to have even smaller flowers, to be quite frank, but this is decent. I've seen quite a few tutorials for scrapbook paper for doll houses, and to be honest with you, they're talented crafters, but that's the part that got me confused, was the humongous patterns that don't go into scale with the size of your doll. And so that's something that I can't allow you to do on my channel, because that's going to drive me crazy. I got a couple of pet peeves when it comes to that. Second thing, we're going to use cereal boxes. Everyone has access to cereal, and I feel like most people have either a box similar to this, even if it's not cereal, or, you know, maybe it's a pancake mix, maybe it's cookies, crackers, whatever it is. I'm using this cereal box, and I'm going to be using 2 of them. As you guys already know, as many of you know, I recycle on my channel, and I try to use what I have. I'm also going to use this brand new box cutter that I got at my local 99-cent store. I'll be honest, I was being lazy and I didn't want to get my metal ruler, so I got this my Cricut ruler. I don't want to catch the flaps on the ends, so I'm going to measure. Let me work in here. Make sure that the paper is flush. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure this with binder clips. Now I'm going to put my ruler flush with the edge of the page. And I think I'd like to get rid of the white, so I'm going to put it flush with the line. I want to get rid of the white that I have on at the bottom of my paper. Still a little bit of white, but I'll get rid of that right now. That's done. Now, you know what? My humongous ruler won't fit, so I am going to see if we can get all of the white out. And then this last piece, I'm not going to cut the other side of the cereal box. I am just going to cut. I do recommend using the ruler with the craft knife or the box cutter. It's just a lot more precise and accurate. This is what we have so far. We have this nicely cut, and we have this nicely measured. Now the only thing that I want to do is reinforce, is make sure that the inside is glued tightly. And what I want to do actually is reverse it and make this the inside, so that I think that this part is a lot easier to adhere to than this shiny part. Make sure you're keeping it even, like a book, just like this. And these are the tools that I use also when creating books, journals, scrapbooks, that kind of thing. I like to use recycled cereal boxes and pasta boxes. So here we have double-sided tape, and I'm just going to apply on the edge. I'm going to apply a long strip just at the end here, and I'm going to apply another one here in the middle. And then I'm just going to cut out a couple of pieces. I'm not putting on this edge because this edge is going to connect to this edge. So I'm just kind of filling in some gaps so that it's nice and flush and reinforced. Now we're ready to fold this, and you can use glue, you can use Mod Podge, any of those is fine. I just decided to use this very, very strong holding double-sided tape, and it's from, you can see it there, Basic, and it's Basic spelled with a Z, B-A-Z-I-C, Basic Products, and it's really good. So I am going to, hold on one second. Okay, I just went to get my bone folder, which I use typically for book binding, but as I've said many times, your materials can become interchangeable. Your bone folder is just going to ensure that you get a nice, even glue, you know, like adherence, and that it joins nicely, and it did. So now what that does, you see these folds that you were worried about in the I'll show you here, the folds that you were worried about with your cereal box. You might have been worried that it was going to get flimsy. We just took care of that, and now it's super secure and it's ready to go. We're now going to do the same exact thing for the 8.5 by 8.5 piece. And this piece has a lot of white. I think in this case, I actually want to cut it first. I took out my ruler. Gosh, I always make mistakes. Oh goodness. Almost perfect. Now that I have this, now I am going to position this flush. Making sure not to put the the paper on top of these lines where the flaps are, because that is very flimsy and you don't want to stay with that. And now we're going to do the same process. We're going to cut and cut and cut. Now you can take your sheet with the people and whatever paper you're going to use or cardstock that you're going to use, and you're going to put them together. Now that I've cut the first doll, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. Number one, the cardstock that I use, the cardstock paper that I use, it is a bit flimsy. And so you should try to use something a little bit more. I would even go ahead and use the rest of your cereal box. I would suggest that for the rest of them moving forward. The other thing that I suggest that you guys do is, instead of doing these binder clips, I would, if I were you, just get a little bit of, not a little bit, but I mean, you know, enough that you feel comfortable of your glue stick, right? And I feel like that's a lot more secure. So whatever you're going to do, if you're going to use your cereal box or whatever, then I would suggest you do that. The other thing is that you see how her hands are closed in, so you wouldn't be able to cut through that. For that I just used my box cutter. You can use your craft knife or your box cutter and cut that out, or you can poke a hole through and then with tiny scissors you can cut through, and that works. So I'm gonna get to doing the rest of these. I'm gonna continue with this paper, but I do suggest that you guys use your cereal boxes to make a nice sturdy doll to play with. Here is everyone. There's just one thing I need to do because I didn't like the fact that he's actually on his phone, and I don't want him to permanently be on his phone. So remember how I told you that I printed these guys out in flip mode? So the reverse of him. So I'm gonna take this arm and I'm gonna put it over here. Come in.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, never mind.
It's okay, come in.
No, I just wanted you to see Jessie clapping.
Hold on. So I got the reverse arm. Now I'm just going to put a little double-sided tape and it's going to glue it nicely. Okay guys, I think we have everything that we need. We have our paper dolls cut out. We have our cereal boxes that we folded and joined to make our walls. We have our wallpaper, which we're going to be adhering onto the walls. But you don't need to have this kind of wallpaper that we made from Canva. Like I said, you can use scrapbook paper, you can make your own paper and that kind of thing. For the flooring, I got this contact paper. I thought that the grain lines were a little bit big for this scale, but I think that it's decent enough. Also, you can use popsicle sticks. The smaller ones would be good for the 1 inch equals a foot, and the bigger ones would be good for Barbie size. Also, this sushi mat we're going to be using later, but you can also take out the wood from the thread and you can make wooden flooring. Now, if you don't have that kind of thing, you can just use regular typing paper or craft paper, and I'm using this spray stain and spreading it all out. If you don't have spray stain, you can make it with acrylic paint and water. And I'm just making lines, and you can cut those lines out and place them down like they're wood, or you can draw the wood onto the floor and do it that way. So any way that you want to make wooden floors or whatever kind of floors you want, you can figure out different ideas to do that. Now I'm going to take this 8.5 by 11 piece of chipboard, and you can use another cereal box or whatever. It's a little bigger than the walls because remember that we cut the white from the walls as well, but that's fine. I think it'll work in our benefit at the end anyway. So ideally I wanted the lines to go horizontal, but I ended up by mistake putting the cardboard in the wrong direction. So I'm going to end up doing this process twice. I took my box cutter and I cut everything out. Be careful not to fray the edges, but it's in the wrong side of the grain, so I am going to cut it again, as you can see. And now I'm ready to adhere it. You can use a bone folder if you have it. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use your ruler to spread out the contact paper. You can also use the top of your scissors, not the blade because it'll destroy the contact paper, but the top plastic part of the scissors you can use to flatten out the contact paper. And you can also use a popsicle stick to smooth out the bubbles. We're going to first work on getting the edge secure. Try that the other part of the contact paper does not fall on your cardboard. You just want this piece, this end piece. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my bone folder, and I'm going to feed some of this. I don't want the contact paper to land on the cardboard unless I guided it there with my bone folder or with your scissors or whatever you're using. I'm going to remove a little bit more, not dropping it, just removing and keeping it lifted up. You can also hold this bottom piece with another finger just so you can keep it lifted up. And we're going to keep feeding the contact paper onto the next part of the cardboard. Okay, I'm gonna hold this. Uh-oh. You don't want it to drop without your consent. This last piece you don't want to drop haphazardly, so you're going to hold it, remove the rest of the paper. Don't need that in your way anymore. Let's see if we can safely So it came out nice. The only thing is one end had a little more left over, and so I'm just gonna cut that out and fill the gap, and you're done. I think it came out really nice. No bubbles, no nothing. Now, if you do get bubbles, you can do one of two things. You can either remove the contact paper, or you can flip it over onto the other side and start over on the other side. So don't panic. All right, and now I'm just going to take a look at what I have. Great. So I changed the angle so you guys can see a little bit better what I'm working with. And I am going to put some double-sided tape on the end. I'm also going to be adding glue to that, but for now I'm going to get started on adding all the double-sided tape to the wall so that I can adhere the wallpaper. I started with the 11 by 8.5, and like I said, since I cut some of the white, there's a line there on top, and I'm gonna remedy that with my box cutter. So I add a little bit of glue to the double-sided tape, and I'm gonna clean that all up. I also put masking tape on all the corners just to give it a little more support. And the outside of the room box should be decorated as well. I'm just focusing on the inside for this video. I'm going to take out all the window panes. I tried to save the white parts, but I decided to cut those out since they became, as you can see there, they became flimsy. So it'll just be one long pane with no divisions. And that one will be one long pane as well. I'm gonna cut the frames out. So remember the 6-piece markers that I bought? I had those in my haul. Well, I'm recycling the case, and I thought that this made great plexiglass for my windows. So I'm just gonna measure out the window. I just took a marker, and you can erase the marker later. I just wanted to make sure that I knew where the window was so that I can then cut it out accordingly. And then I'm just going to put some double-sided tape all around, remove the double-sided tape, and put it on the back of the room box. And now we have a window. I'm going to measure the width of the window, at least the window frame, and that sushi mat that I was showing you earlier. I'm going to be using that to make the bamboo Venetian blinds. Then we're going to measure the length. Now this part was a little tricky. I didn't want to take out my Proxxon bench saw because I was being a little lazy, but I should have, because I would have gotten a much better cut. I decided to weaken the bamboo with this saw and with my box cutter, and then go in with my easy cutter once I had weakened the bamboo enough. It was not easy. So this is how it turned out. I ended up cutting it a little longer so I could take out a few of the wooden pieces at the ends, and then I can tie the thread at the end to secure it. But this is how it looks, and that's how long it is. I am going to prefer to kind of like bunch it up, but first let me just make sure that I'm securing, because I'm a little nervous about the bamboo coming out. So you're gonna tie the thread right at the end, and no need to worry, because then you're going to glue the top part onto the wall. Just the top part, you're gonna glue it right on top of the window pane, and then it'll be secure. I decided to temporarily put some twine in between the bamboo just to hold it in place, because I want to be able to take the bamboo blinds up and down. But that's how it turned out. We are not done yet. I took this about 2 inches wide strip of cardboard, and I'm cutting it into about 1-inch strips, and then cutting those 1-inch strips in half. So these are about 1/2-inch squares. And then I'm going to cut a little slit, not all the way through, just going to cut a little slit, one for each of our paper dolls. Then I'm going to go ahead and measure the 1/2-inch and cut the whole piece, just like I'm doing right now, and leaving it just as it is. So for each doll, you're going to have 2 pieces, 1 1/2-inch piece and 1 piece that is the whole length of the 2-inch piece. I don't know if that makes any sense, but then we're going to cut a slit right in the front of the long piece, and we're going to attach the small piece right inside of it, and that's going to create a stand. Then we're going to put double-sided tape, and you're going to glue your doll right onto that. And this is what it turned out to be. I had a good time doing this. I think this is an easy beginner tutorial for someone who might want to have a project to do with their students or with their children, or just like fun stuff. You have some extra ink and you want to get printer happy. You can print out some really fun things that you can make with your cereal boxes and other things from your home, and you don't have to be a whole artist and crafter and hobbyist or miniaturist to do so. You can also paint in these faces. I think that's a good opportunity to create your kind of like own vibes. But yeah. I think that's a great opportunity for students and kids and just everyone to have their creativity flowing there. So yeah, if you like this video, just hit like. If you think you'll be interested in more videos like this one, or if you want to check my playlist and see what other kind of videos I have, and you decide that you found some other things you like, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of those videos, and share the videos. All of this really does help. And thank you guys again for your support, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.